G'day guys, got a bit of a new project today. We've got the little bathtub, our little 8-foot dinghy, and we're off up to Shark Bay, as you probably know by now. Now, because we don't know the area, we want to be able to see structure on the bottom. So we've got ourselves one of these little Lowrance echo sounders. Colour screen this time, our old ones were all grey screen. This is a colour one, so it'll be interesting to see how it goes. The job this morning is to install this on the bathtub, and just going to film that for information's sake, just to show you what it's like to put an echo sounder on. We haven't used this at all, so we don't know what it's like, how good it is, but we'll let you know as soon as we find out. Okay, so I'm just going to do a quick unboxing, show you what comes in the package. I've had a quick look at this before. A couple of stickers. Looks like they're ones that you stick on windows. It would be better to stick on the outside of something rather than on a window, I think. Transducer and cable. And cable that goes to the battery, so that'll need some connectors put on it. Okay, transducer mount. That's the part I'll be putting on the hull this morning. Fuse, so definitely you do want to put a fuse on to this sort of gear just in case. And we have the mount itself. Has a quick release stand on it. Now, the one thing I don't like about this stand is it's not a swivel stand. Once it's mounted, it's stuck in the position you screwed it onto the boat, or riveted, whichever one you choose to do. That's a bad idea, because you often want to swivel the heads of these around. Our old ones all had swivel heads. So one thing about the Lowrance so far I'm not very keen on is that kind of mount. It has a security clip on there, so it's pretty tight. So you release it, pinch those together and pull it out, pinch them together, put it back. You get it in the right place, that is. And then that locks it in place. Sturdy enough mount. Now, the first thing about these is the screen is landscape. Our other ones have been portrait. Now, the thing you're looking at with sounders is depth. So a sounder that has portrait mode is possibly going to be better at showing depth than one that's got landscape mode. This is the first one we've ever had that's got a landscape screen on it. So we'll have to see how this one goes once we start using it. Maybe it'll be fine, but I suspect you'll get better definition on a portrait screen simply because of the length of the screen, and you're looking at depth with an echo sounder. Anyway, we'll find out. Got a couple of manuals. Already had a quick read through those, so I basically know what I'm going to do this morning. So we'll just get to it. First thing we're going to be doing is mounting the transducer bracket. Okay, the installation is going to be on the right hand side of the transom, just looking at the back of the boat. That's the optimal area for the echo sounder to be placed. Just marked in a couple of spots here where I'm going to drill the holes, and the transducer will sit in like that. Now, I am going to put some sealant into this later on, but just for this morning, what we're going to do is attach this. that's all there is basically for the attachment of the bracket. Nothing more to it than that, very simple job. We'll put some sealant on those later on and re-screw them in. The transducer sits in here, and then you have a bolt that's going to put that in. But I'm not going to put that on till a little bit later, and you'll see the result once we get out and start using the gear. Here we have everything you need to operate the Echo Sounder. You can see on the right hand side there we've got a small battery. This is a 12 volt 7 amp hour. It's a sealed lead acid battery, so there's no problems with taking that out in the boat. The main thing is to keep those terminals free of salt, because otherwise they will corrode. So we'll just set this up and we'll have a quick look at how it operates. We'll just put it into demo mode so you can get a good idea of what the screen is like. And once we get out on the water, we'll show you properly how this operates. Now, I have seen some reviews on it that, because it's a low-end sounder, are fairly critical of some of the features of this, but we'll find out for ourselves, and then we'll be able to report back properly about how the sounder operates. We have used different sounders in the past and have found them quite useful in finding fish. As long as that's what it does, that's really all we care about. So the first thing we need to do is just hook up the transducer, although we won't be using that. I'm just going to put this into demonstration mode. You'll note that we've put on just some push-on ends so that everything clips together quite easily. The fuse here, it's a 3 amp fuse that's supplied with the unit. We've wired that into it as well. Always a very good idea to keep fuses on things, just in case there's a problem. Very rarely is a problem with this sort of gear, but always good just to be on the safe side. At about $120, the unit isn't expensive. Okay, it does take a fair bit of effort to push that plug in to get it all the way down. Adjust the screen just a little bit. Try and get some of that reflection off it. Okay, so the return button, or the enter button, is this one here. Now that's gone straight into demonstration mode. And just showing you what sort of result you can expect if the unit is actually working. Now, if you haven't used sounders before, generally you just get a trace of the bottom, and when you get an arch like that, when you're actually out fishing, that means you have fish beneath you. The larger the arch, the larger the fish. If you get multiple speckles mid-water, generally that's bait fish, but what you're really looking for is these arch shapes. Now, I can't show you all the features of this at the moment because the transducer doesn't actually come on in demonstration mode. So it's just showing another screen. There's a few different screens you can select. Okay, so we have a paging button. It will take you through the 3 different pages this unit has available. That's a GPS page. You can move around the screen, and if this was in proper operating mode, I would be able to set a waypoint pressing this button here. At the moment it won't do anything because we're just in demonstration mode. And if the boat was moving, you would see this leaving a track on the screen, and we'll show you how that operates once we've got out in the boat and started to use this properly. Now, the setup screen, you use that by pressing the power button once and you get into all the different setup options. Enter key is here, and you've got the different options. You use your arrow keys to move around the screen. So that's all very simple. X to go back to where you were. And when you're on the sonar screen, you can use the minus and the plus key. Now you'll know when you've gone too far out, or you'll know when you've reached the limits of it. You'll get an error beep. There have been reports that the unit will sometimes drop the bottom off and you won't be able to see it on the screen, even in shallow water. So we'll have to have a good look at that and see how it operates. As long as it does what you can see now and shows fish, which is this arch here, when we're out fishing, and shows structure on the bottom, that's really all we want it for. It cost about $20 more to get the GPS function on it. We didn't really need that, but I thought, well, for another $20 might as well just have it. So that's the very basic operation of the unit. Of course, being in demonstration mode, you're not seeing a great deal, you're not seeing all the features. It's just showing you screen by screen what it's capable of. This is one screen we probably won't be making use of. We really only want it for the sonar. And that's about it for now. That's all I can show you with the demonstration mode turned on. So I will just hold the key down and it turns itself off. So that's it, the Lowrance Hook2 ×4 with GPS. I assume the ×4 is a 4-inch screen. That's diagonally. The number indicates the size of the screen. The ×4 is a 4-inch, ×5 5-inch, ×7 7-inch, and so on. It's a very basic little unit. It's only got one plug that attaches. Both power and transducer go into the same hole. On some of the other units, the power is separated from the transducer. So it will be interesting to see how this operates and whether it's a good little unit or not. Hopefully it is. As long as we can find fish with it, that's really all we care about. Okay, so I'm back doing the installation of the echo sounder. All I did last time was just make the screw holes and put this in. What we're doing this time is putting some sealant on them. And the cable to the transducer goes up through the back. Now I'm just going to make sure I get this fellow up the right way. It sits on the back of the transducer. Oops. Just run a bit around the edges. We can take that off again if we really need to, but just want to make sure that no water gets in. And the transducer just gets bolted in place here, and we run the wire up over the top. Now unfortunately, once this wire is on, the only way you can take it off is by unscrewing this every time, which is a bit of a nuisance. So it's just a matter of putting it under some sort of cover, and we usually leave them in place on the boat. It would be better if they made a removable transducer holder, but they don't. It's a no-lock nut which holds it in place. I'm going to get it just tight enough to hold it in place and just loose enough for that to move. If it hits something, it needs to be able to fold up when you're launching the boat so it doesn't hit the ground too hard. So that's not too bad. That shouldn't move when it's in the water now. Now, when you're using sealant, often what happens is in the top of the tube you get this piece that goes solid. Now instead of throwing that away, I use that to block off the end of screws, because obviously the sharp ends of those screws have gone through there. I don't particularly want to cut those off, so we're going to use this to just put onto the end of those with a little bit of sealant on. Just dab a bit of sealant on the end of it so it doesn't come off too easily. And then we're going to screw that into the thread on the other side. Just avoids people cutting their feet and fuel tanks getting ruptured, things like that. And get that in about the middle and just screw it on. And the bit of sealant that's on the end of it will hold that in place, hopefully. And we'll just put another bit of sealant around the edge of that. Just to help both keep it on and with water tightness. Now the other thing to do here is just to tidy up the wires. I've screwed the stand into position on the seat. Now that might require a little bit of adjustment later on, but we'll see how it goes on the test trip tomorrow morning. All you need to do at this stage is to put the plug in, clip it in place, flick the lock. We have a small container to put the battery in. That will just help keep the salt water off the terminals. And there we have the sounder working. So battery's all hooked up, transducer's hooked up, although that's in demo mode at the moment. And tomorrow we'll just take that out for a quick trip so we can catch some bait fish and see if this helps us. Okay, in the front of the mangrove jack trailer here you can see our little trolley dolly. That's used for just moving it around in the back garden. Makes it much easier on my poor back. Mangrove jack trailer will take the little 8-foot dinghy, and we'll also take the bigger dinghy at the back there, so it's fully adjustable. It breaks down into several pieces, the biggest piece being 8 kilos, and that's the wheels. Very easy to pack and take away with you. We won't be taking it to Shark Bay because we'll be parked right next to the water, so I don't see any need for the trailer. We'll just get the boat off and put it straight into the water. So we'll be out tomorrow morning. We'll give the echo sounder a test and show you how it goes. Now here we have the sounder running in real time on the boat. Now we're sitting in pretty shallow water here, and the sounder doesn't really work that well in shallow water. A lot of echoes, a lot of mess on the screen. As you can see, it's broken bottom, seaweed and sand, and the sounder really doesn't seem to like that very much, and you don't get a very clear picture. For now, that's really the only test we can do. Hopefully we'll get a chance to update this a little bit later on, but we hope that gives you a bit of an idea of what the sound is like, what the display is like in daylight, and what it's like to install this sounder on a boat. Okay, hope you've enjoyed the video. Hope to see you back here again soon. Cheers.